Let me warn you before we begin. This video won't feel good. It's not soft, and it's definitely not what you want to hear. But it's exactly what you need. Since you were a kid, you've been taught to look outside yourself for answers, to find someone to blame, someone to point to when you're hurting. And yes, many times that person ends up being your mother. But here's the part no one wants to admit. It's not your mother who's still holding you back. It's what your mind did with her. This isn't meant as an insult or an attack. It's an uncomfortable truth, one that most people avoid. Your mother still lives inside your unconscious long after she physically leaves the room. You've tried to move on. You've tried to find peace. But peace can't exist when you're still caught in a war you don't even realize you're fighting. What war? The battle against an image, not a real person made of skin and bone, but a shadow, a symbol that took root inside you before you even knew how to speak. And the hardest part? That shadow doesn't just disappear on its own. Carl Jung called it the mother complex. And no, it's not just a fancy psychology term. It's an emotional trap made of invisible bars. It's that critical voice in your head that doesn't even need words. It's that deep emptiness you keep trying to fill. It's that need for validation you've been chasing since childhood. The harsh truth? That need isn't really yours. It's something you inherited, an echo, a scar left on your inner world. So, how do you even begin to heal something like that? Here's where the real work starts. As long as you keep seeing your mother as some larger-than-life figure, whether you idolize her or blame her, you're not seeing her. You're seeing a myth, a story created by all your unmet needs, unspoken pain, and silent resentment. And that story, it runs your life more than you think. Every choice made to get approval, every broken relationship where you hoped someone would save you, every time you couldn't set boundaries, all of it traces back to something deeper. It began in childhood, in a look you never received, in an embrace that never came, in a word you were desperate to hear, but never did. Now you're grown. But deep inside, you're still that little child, hoping mom will finally say everything's going to be okay. But here's the hardest truth. That moment isn't coming, not anymore. Healing doesn't mean making your mother change. Healing means stopping the wait for her to do so, and that's devastating. Maybe you were told that forgiving her is the answer, that understanding her would bring peace, that walking in her shoes is the right thing to do. And maybe those things can help, but only after you do the most important thing. Look inward and accept that the wound is yours now. No one else's, just yours. And nobody's coming to fix it for you. So let me ask, how many times have you caught yourself doing exactly what she did? Saying the things you promised you never would? That's the trap. The mother complex isn't just emotional, it's behavioral. It lives in you, it drives you. And unless you bring it into the light, it will keep running your life on repeat. The pattern keeps going until someone is brave enough to stop it. And stopping it hurts. Because it means letting go of a dream. That one day, what you didn't get might somehow still show up. It means accepting that the childhood you needed isn't coming back. That the comfort you missed, you'll have to give that to yourself now. Are you ready for that? Can you stop hoping to be loved the way you once needed and start learning to love yourself the way you deserve? Because that's the way through. There's no other path. In Jung's work, the mother isn't just your biological mom. She's a symbol. She represents where you come from, emotional safety, nurturing, but she can also mean control, dependence, and fear of being yourself. And when this part of your inner world isn't healed, it becomes a shadow you cast onto everyone around you, your partner, your boss, your friends. You start expecting someone, anyone, to rescue you, to read your mind, to care for you no matter what. But that's not love, that's emptiness. And no one can fill that for you, only truth can, awareness, courage. So, where do you begin? With this. Stop putting your mother on a pedestal. She wasn't a goddess, but she wasn't a villain either. She was a person, broken, struggling, full of her own unhealed pain. She did what she could, and sometimes what she could do wasn't enough. That doesn't excuse the hurt, but it helps explain it. And in that understanding, something starts to loosen. Not because you're forcing forgiveness, but because you're finally seeing things clearly. Because idolizing her is just as damaging as hating her. Both keep you stuck. Both keep you from seeing the truth. And the truth is, you don't need a mother anymore. You need a stronger version of yourself. a kinder, more self-aware version of you. And that person doesn't just appear, you have to create them. So, if you want to begin, start here. Notice your reactions. Every time you feel rejected, ask, who am I really seeing? The person in front of me, or the part of me that's still hurting? Every time you demand to be loved unconditionally, ask, do I want real love? Or am I looking for someone to fix the past? Every time you ignore your own needs just to keep someone else happy, stop and ask yourself, who ignored me first? Healing isn't easy. It's not clean or beautiful. It's a deep dive into your own darkness. A painful conversation with the child still living inside you. It means looking at the memories you've buried, feeling the things you've tried to forget, and finally letting them go. And yes, that child inside you will cry. But sometimes it does more than cry. It screams, it lashes out, it sabotages everything. Because it's been waiting far too long to be heard. So listen. Don't silence that voice with empty quotes or surface-level advice. Don't try to cover it with fake positivity or spiritual shortcuts. Just give it space. Ask it what it needed back then. And give yourself that now. Self-compassion isn't weakness, it's medicine. It's the only thing that works when nothing else does. But to practice it, you'll need courage, because part of you has been trained to hate yourself, to blame yourself, to punish yourself the same way others once did. Break that pattern. Emotional healing isn't about reading all the right books. It's about seeing yourself with fresh eyes, creating new responses. It's about ending the search for mother figures and people who were never meant to carry that weight. Because here's the hard truth. The world won't give you what you didn't get as a child. It's not built to do that. The world will demand things from you. It will judge you, ignore you. And right in the middle of all that noise, you have to rebuild yourself. Emotional freedom begins the moment you choose something different. The moment you realize you're no longer a child. You're not stuck in that house anymore. You don't need someone else's touch to feel worthy. You don't need anyone's permission to be yourself. But there's still a part of you that believes you do. That hopes, that waits, that quietly begs. That part isn't guilty, but healing it, that's your job now. Do it, not tomorrow. Not when you feel more ready. Do it now. Because if you wait to feel prepared, you'll never begin. Healing doesn't come when life is calm and perfect. It shows up in the middle of the storm, in fear, in mess, in discomfort. And when it arrives, it doesn't feel how you imagined. It feels like loss, like silence, like something's missing. Because healing also means letting go of a version of you that's been with you forever. It's saying goodbye to the victim. It's giving up the waiting and stepping into action. Does it hurt? Yes. But staying the same hurts more. So, really look at yourself. Ask, how much of what I'm still suffering comes from that mother-shaped shadow inside me? And how much longer am I going to let it run my life? Make peace, not with her, but with yourself. Because in the end, the most powerful mother isn't the one who raised you. It's the one you choose to become for you. And that version of you, still waiting to be born. Now that you've come this far, now that you've dared to face what most people avoid, let's go even deeper, because there's a hidden force we haven't talked about yet. Something darker, something buried, but so powerful. It's called invisible loyalty. Yes, loyalty. A bond you didn't choose, but that has silently pulled the strings of your life. No matter how much you grow, how many books you read, how many therapy sessions you go through, if you don't understand this, you'll keep finding yourself stuck in the same places. Want to know the secret? Your unconscious believes that if you surpass your mother, you're betraying her. It doesn't matter if it makes no sense logically. This isn't about logic. It's emotional. It's deep. It's something your nervous system feels, even if your mind denies it. You were raised to believe that your identity was tangled up with hers, that her pain, her beliefs, her story, you had to carry all of it too. Somewhere along the way, you made a silent promise. I won't be happier than you, Mom. I won't be freer. I won't heal if you didn't get to. That's the prison. And the scariest part? That prison looks like love. We're not talking about hate here. We're talking about a deep, unconscious loyalty that ties you to her pain, her struggle, her emotional ceiling. That's why you keep reliving the same patterns. That's why you keep getting in your own way just before things go well. Because some part of you whispers, If I'm truly happy and she wasn't, I've betrayed her. But here's the hard truth. Your pain doesn't honor her. Your stuckness doesn't help her. Your misery doesn't fix what happened. So, why are you still carrying what was never yours? There's a pattern I see in so many wounded hearts. The child who doesn't let themselves fully live, just to show their mother, look, I'm hurting too, so you're not alone. And that's what's keeping you down. The real betrayal isn't choosing to move on. The real betrayal is staying stuck in her story. Because if you truly love her, if you want to free yourself without dishonoring her, you need to understand something. Honoring your mother means growing beyond her, not out of pride, not out of blame, but as a way of saying, thank you for my life. Now I will do something with it. Take that pain you inherited and turn it into wisdom, into freedom, into your own life. But to do that, you have to break the secret vow you made long ago, the one that said, I won't go further than you did. Break it, not with anger, but with love. Say it, even if she's not around, even if she'll never hear you. Mom, thank you for what you could give me, but I'm choosing a different road now, a road that leads not to resentment, but to freedom. Because as long as that loyalty runs your life, everything will repeat. Her fears will become yours. Her patterns will be your relationships. Her guilt, her silence, her self-sacrifice, you'll carry all of it without even realizing. Ask yourself, how many choices have I made because of that shadow? Maybe that's why rejection feels unbearable. Maybe that's why success makes you feel guilty. Maybe that's why you keep choosing partners who shrink you. Not because you're broken, but because you're being loyal. But that kind of loyalty costs too much. It costs your life. If you're brave enough to question it, to really face it, you'll feel something shift. You'll feel a gap, a quiet kind of sadness, because for the first time, you're separating who you are from who she was. And to the child you once were, that feels like losing her. But to the adult you're becoming, that's your beginning. This isn't about cutting ties. It's about changing how you carry her inside you. Because no matter who she was, loving, distant, absent, or smothering, what matters now isn't her. It's the space she takes up in your mind. If you don't sort that out, she becomes one of two things: a goddess to worship or a jailer to blame. Either way, you stay trapped. But if you're ready to rebuild that inner space, not as a shrine, not as a cage, but as a clean, open place for you to stand tall, that's where freedom lives. And it's waiting for you. You can worship her or resent her, but really, they're two sides of the same coin, a distortion. The only way to truly heal is to take off the mask, to see the fantasy for what it is. That fantasy wears many faces: the saintly mother, the perfect mother, the self-sacrificing mother, the always there for you mother. But none of those are real. They're stories you've built in your mind, myths that block the truth. She was human. She was once a daughter too. She had her own ghosts. She loved in the only way she knew how. She messed up. She carried pain, just like you do now. And you're not here to repeat her fate. You're here for something greater. You're here to turn that emotional inheritance into wisdom, to bring what was hidden into the light, to close the cycle, so your children, if you have or will have them, won't carry what you're carrying. Because what gets passed down isn't just genes or objects. It's unresolved emotions, unspoken traumas, the weight of what was never said, never healed, never faced. And now we arrive at the most powerful truth. You can't change the past, but you can change how it lives inside you. Do it, not for her, for you. You don't need to cut ties with your mother. You need to cut ties with the idealized version of her that lives in your head. The one that judges you every time you shine. The one that whispers guilt when you choose yourself. This isn't rebellion, it's liberation. And it's not against her, it's for you. The wound may not have been your choice, but the healing is. So ask yourself, how much longer will I stay loyal to a pattern that's killing me? How much longer will I carry a story that never started with me? It's time to turn that pain into fuel, to stop surviving and start living. But to do that, you'll need one thing: courage. Courage to break the loyalty. Courage to rebuild a life without that inner figure, whether she gave you everything or left you empty. Courage to look in the mirror and say, now I take care of me. And when you do that, when you finally choose yourself, when you release the guilt and the grip of the past, that's when you truly honor her. Because the greatest tribute you can give the woman who gave you life is to live it fully. And just when you think you're free, when you believe you've let go, something even more subtle shows up. Emotional self-abandonment. Yes, that too is tied to the mother image still buried in your shadow. Because what does a child do when they don't get the care they need? They adapt, they go quiet, they shut themselves down, they pretend they're fine. That survival strategy becomes your adult lifestyle. Ever noticed how you treat yourself? How you talk to yourself inside your head? How you expect strength but deny yourself rest? How you push through pain you never give yourself permission to feel? That's not random. That's the same pattern, now coming from you. You became the voice that once hurt you. You inherited the whip, and now you use it on yourself. The harshest part? No one else is doing this to you anymore. You are. Every time you deny your needs, every time you silence your sadness, every time you accept what breaks you, just to be liked, you're reliving the old script. If I erase myself, maybe they'll love me. You learn to survive by disappearing, emotionally. And that's not living. It's slow, silent destruction. You've become your own oppressor, the one who won't let you rest, the one who won't let you cry, the one who demands more, and gives nothing in return. And the twisted part? The more you abandon yourself, the more you wish someone else would come save you. But they won't. Because no one can give you what you're not willing to give yourself. This is the real revolution. Start caring for yourself like no one ever did. Be your own mother now. Start over, from zero. Learn to give yourself the warmth you were denied. Let yourself feel without shame. Speak to yourself kindly when you fall. Offer comfort, not perfection. Yes, at first it will feel wrong, because you've spent years living with coldness, with harshness, with internal punishment. But none of that is yours. You inherited it. You copied it. Because it was all you knew. Want to end the cycle? Start with this one question. How would I treat a child who just went through what I went through? What would I say to them, seeing them exhausted, overwhelmed, about to collapse? Would I tell them to toughen up? Or would I hold them, no questions asked? That child is still inside you. Even now, at 30, 40, 50 years old, even if you look strong, even if you've built a whole life, they're still waiting. But no one's coming, not in the way you imagined, because healing doesn't mean finding the perfect savior. It means becoming the figure you always needed. And this isn't spiritual fluff. It's deep psychological truth. Jung said it. What you don't make conscious shows up as fate. And nothing makes that clearer than this. If you don't become aware of your self-abandonment, you'll keep reliving it. In your relationships, your work, your choices. You'll live from emptiness, from the hunger to be rescued. And here's the paradox. You only stop needing to be saved when you become your own safe place. Hard? Of course. Because no one taught you how. They taught you to compete, to prove your worth, to strive, but they never taught you how to care for your inner world, or how to hold the parts of you that hurt. And here's a piece we rarely talk about. The negative inner mother. That voice inside you that says, you're not enough, you're behind, you don't deserve it, you should feel different, do more, be better, be quieter. That voice, it isn't you, it's inherited, a distorted echo you mistook for your conscience. It's not. It's an internalized script, a hand-me-down archetype, living in the place where your self-worth should be. And until you name it, it runs the show. You'll think you are the problem, but you're not. You're just repeating what you were given. So, how do you dismantle it? You listen to it. Yes, listen. Because what you resist persists, but what you observe transforms. Next time that voice shows up, don't run. Don't drown it in affirmations. Look it in the face and ask, where did you come from? Who do you belong to? What story are you repeating that isn't even mine? And you'll see. You'll see the threads, the origins. And in that moment, something clicks. Not a mystical flash, a brutal clarity. You'll realize you've been living inside someone else's belief system. And when you question it, you take your power back. That's what awakening really is. Not mantras, not enlightenment, but this. The moment you stop being the echo of your childhood and become the author of your life. But careful, Don't confuse this with fake positivity. This isn't about ignoring the pain. It's about taking responsibility for it. It's about seeing yourself clearly, without filters. It's about stopping the search for someone to fill your emptiness and choosing to fill it yourself, day by day. Want a place to begin? Start by not abandoning yourself when it matters most. Tired? Don't push. Rest. Sad? Don't shame yourself. Hold yourself. Scared? Don't hide it. Listen. That's the new language. That's what it means to become your own mother. That's how you build a new emotional architecture, one that ends generations of silence and inherited pain. And yes, I know, it feels huge, impossible, but you don't have to do it perfectly. You just have to do it differently. Because if you don't break the cycle, no one will. The change you're looking for isn't out there. It's here, in every boundary you set, in every no you say so you can finally say yes to yourself, in every time you choose care over punishment, presence over performance, and that quiet act is revolutionary. Because in a world that teaches you to demand more from yourself, to punish yourself, to compare constantly, to treat yourself with tenderness, that's a radical act. It's looking your family history in the eye and saying, the pattern ends with me. Not because you're stronger, not because you're perfect, but because you've decided to wake up. And once you wake up, no one can put you back to sleep. Not guilt, not shame, not that old voice in your head. Because now you walk differently, from within, with roots built on awareness, with love that doesn't demand, doesn't punish, doesn't betray. A love that holds, the kind of love you always needed, and can finally give to yourself. And that's the real inheritance. That's what's worth passing on. Because when you get to this point, something deep inside you has already shifted. You don't need anyone to confirm it. You feel it. That quiet tremor inside, the one that comes after years of not looking. When you finally face what you've always avoided, it feels like grief and like rebirth. Because the end of this journey isn't loud. It's not some miracle. It's silence, but a different kind of silence. A clean silence. The kind that comes when you've stopped carrying what was never yours. Now you know why you never felt at peace, why it was so hard to feel whole. Because you weren't alone in yourself. You were full of voices, stories, fears that weren't yours, but not anymore. What remains now is real. Your voice, your identity, your space. And no, you won't live without wounds, but for the first time, you'll live with them, consciously. And that changes everything. Because the wounds were never the problem, running from them was. And when you stop running, when you look directly at them, that's when healing happens. Not by fixing everything, but by being with what is. That's real emotional maturity. Not pretending to be cold, not needing to control everything, but knowing this. You are both broken and wise, soft and strong, still hurting and already healing. You've crossed a threshold. You're no longer a child of your past. You're the adult of your present. You're no longer reacting from what was missing. You're creating from what's now possible. And very few people get here because it takes something wild and rare, courage, honesty, and a refusal to keep hiding behind the stories you were given. Now you know. So the question is, what are you going to do with this? This is where the video ends, but the real part begins, the invisible part. The part only you will see, every day, in the way you talk to yourself, in the way you no longer repeat the pattern, in the way you choose awareness over autopilot, wholeness over performance. And that, even without applause, is a freedom no one can take from you. So, here's the line to carry with you. The phrase to whisper, write, tattoo into your bones. When self-love is born from healed pain, it stops being a trend and becomes a quiet revolution. And if you've come this far, say it out loud in the comments. I am the end of the pattern. Because if you're still here, reading these words, you are not the same person you were at the start. You've looked at something others spend lifetimes avoiding. So, subscribe, not for me, for you. Because here, we don't perform healing. We live it. We feel it. And sometimes, yes, we break. But then, we rebuild. So, go. Do something that scares you a little. Say something to yourself you've never dared to say. Stay silent, cry, rest, look in the mirror, and just see yourself for 10 seconds. That's enough to start. Because when you change how you treat yourself, the world has to change how it treats you. And if you don't believe it, try, but do it from that quiet place, the one that no longer begs to be rescued. Because now, you know, you were the one, all along. Until next time, or maybe not. Maybe you'll be too busy rebuilding yourself. Either way, I'm glad you made it, to here, to yourself, to now.